The submission window for in-affiliate semifinals has come to a close. So that means we have 11 men and 11 women who have punched their ticket to the CrossFit Games? Not quite. Not yet.
Come on!
I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding still in it, I've been counting these digits, excuse me. I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. The crash came when the cash came.
So what do I mean by that? Well, the competition happened over this weekend, started Thursday, ended Sunday, and there's a leaderboard up right now. But that leaderboard is still under review, and reviews will happen. People are able to go in, if you qualified, to look at the videos and say if you think it's good or not good, needs review, that kind of thing. Then CrossFit Games team will look at some of those things and possibly assess penalties. So for that reason, the leaderboard is not final, and we're gonna talk about what the leaderboard looks like at the close of submission, but it could change over the coming days. By May 19th, when it is actually closed, there will be some changes. At least there's likely to be some changes. And let's also talk about what that means for these other competitions. So the way that CrossFit is doing things this year, and Clydesdale Media, Scott with Clydesdale Media, and J.R. Howell talked a little bit about this, but no one's qualified yet of these 11 people. And this is the biggest one area we're gonna see people qualify from. All the in-person events have qualifications of 2 women and 2 men, or just 1. This competition, 11. 11 men and 11 women. But right now, 0. And the reason that no ticket has been punched at the end of competition is because the scores aren't final. I'll explain more on that in 1 second. But first, if you're new here or if you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a whole ton and it allows me to make more content for all of you. I appreciate it so much. So back to what I was saying. The way CrossFit is doing things this year is chronologically. So the first area that you would punch your ticket is the one that counts. Say someone like Colton Mertens was to have done the in-affiliate semifinals. It wouldn't have mattered because he punched his ticket already in April at the Mayhem Classic. This one doesn't count if he was to have done it. He didn't, but if he was, it wouldn't have counted. The thing that is done first is what counts. And the date of the in-affiliate semifinals is May 19th, not today, not May 4th. It is May 19th, meaning that there are 2 more semifinals that will happen, in-person semifinals between now and May 19th. That is the French Throwdown and TFX. So if any of the athletes on this list of 11, even after all the penalties are assessed, any athlete in that top 11 who then qualifies at French or at TFX has now qualified through that first, and the in-affiliate is second. So that means that their games ticket would slide down from the way that I understand it and what I've heard. So just explaining that. So we're gonna look at these 11. We're gonna talk about the 11 that would have qualified or look like they've qualified right now, but it's still under review in a lot of ways. Just keep that in mind as we go through these. So let's start out on the men's side of things. In first, we have the person that I almost picked to win this, but I decided to go with someone else. But this person, I was debating picking them. I just didn't because we haven't seen a lot of him. And that is Jeff Adler. He finished in first in a pretty commanding fashion. He has 2 first place finishes and a second, and that second place finish, I believe, is really a first. So that second place finish came on workout 4, which had the shuttle runs and your score is the number of burpees you completed. It appears, I saw this on Savan's show, so I want to give credit where credit is due, but it appears some people did the wrong number of shuttle runs, which happens sometimes, but so far, from what I remember, in the CrossFit season, we've pretty much always seen shuttle runs as there and back is one. So it's not every time you touch the ground, it's every time you return to the place you started the shuttle run. So some people were counting it as really what was considered 5 shuttle runs instead of 10, moving on, and then got better burpee scores because they had more time to do burpees. It should have been down and back is 1, but some people were counting it as 1 here, 2, 3, but it was actually 1, run, 2. Yeah, so it's a little bit confusing, but it's the same as it was in the Open a few years ago when we had that workout with shuttle runs and burpee pull-ups. I understand the confusion, and also on Savant's show, they showed a man who messed it up, but they also showed a woman who messed it up who's also in the first place for that workout right now, and she owned up to it.
Emily, darling, how are you?
Emily Clement?
Yeah, buddy.
Wow, dude.
Hey guys, Emily here. That dumb as soon as I realized I messaged CrossFit completely on
That's amazing.
She even called in after that to point it out. So I don't think many people made this mistake on purpose. And I do think it was clear enough that there wasn't a mass amount of people messing it up, but these two people, the first place woman and first place man, are not the only people who messed that up. So just something to keep in mind. If CrossFit does look harder at that workout because they've seen this issue, there could be some score adjustments on these workouts, and that means that could impact what we see in the leaderboard. But it won't impact Jeff Adler because Jeff Adler did it right and he is currently in second in that workout. The impact it would have for him would mean he would finish with 12 points instead of 13. So, you know, just winning even more handedly. He did win Isabel and sent a little message at the end of that. So Jeff's feeling a little spicy. I think that after this, Jeff has to be the favorite to win the CrossFit Games, and I do believe he is going to compete at the CrossFit Games. I can't say anything for certain, but based on what we've seen and based on the way this in-affiliate semifinal worked, I don't think anyone's doing this in-affiliate semifinal, paying the money, getting the judges, setting up the cameras without intention of going to the CrossFit Games. So we had some people over at Wadland, and we might have some people at some other competitions, Mayhem, who were not looking to punch tickets to the CrossFit Games. They were just competing for the money, for the sport of it. They weren't competing for a ticket. That's not what anyone here, I believe, is doing. I believe anyone who paid the money for this, got all the judges for this, shot the videos, are going to the CrossFit Games or want to go to the CrossFit Games. So I think Jeff has to be a favorite. Going down the list in second, we had Jay Crouch with about double the number of points that Jeff had, and lowest points wins. So just says how good Jeff is right now. But Jay also looks really great. I feel like Jay has put us all on notice. He's really improved a lot as he's worked with Proven. He's here in the States right now. He did the workouts at Proven with a bunch of other people, which I think was a really good move. They almost treated it like an in-person competition. And I think we should all look at him not just for a top 10 finish, but to potentially finish on the podium at the Games. So excited to see what this season has for Jay Crouch. In third is the person I picked to finish in first, and that is Dallin Pepper. Dallin Pepper chose to pull out of Mayhem to focus on this, so I did think that he would do well here. And third is doing well. The points between third and second are not close. It goes Jeff Adler with 13 currently, Jay Crouch with 26th, and then Dallin Pepper with 45. Those two men separated themselves, Jay and Jeff, and then Dallin is in a pretty solid third place position. He didn't have any wins, and his worst finish was that workout 4, but I do think there is potential for some of those to be adjusted. That is that one that I just mentioned with the shuttle runs that some people messed up. So we'll see if maybe his points are a little bit closer to that second place finish after all the reviews are done, if they review all of those. In fourth, we have another CrossFit Games winner, and this person did better than I thought they were going to do, and that is James Sprague. And I believe, at least it seems like James Sprague really made sure that everything was in line for a good weekend and that he did everything to the best standards possible. So James has become a bit notorious for cheating, for adjusting the GHD sit-up standard if they're allowed to. There was supposed to be a stricter standard for the in-affiliate semifinals, at least that's what the rule book said. And it does appear that James made sure to adjust where his booty was on that pad so that he would meet the standards. Now we'll see how aggressive CrossFit is in penalizing that, but I'm gonna put two people doing them up on the screen. One is someone I believe did it correctly, and the other is someone Hiller posted who didn't, kind of slid their butt forward to sort of cheat the rep. We'll see if that counts as cheating or not, or if that's something that gets people penalized in some way. I agree that the one way with the butt farther off the pad is the way it should be, but I just don't know how aggressive CrossFit is going to be with upholding that standard, and just where they draw the lines in certain parts of anatomy, we'll see. This is gonna be a real test of how they are grading this and what people need to do moving forward. We'll find out. But if they do decide to be very strict on this, it's another place that could have pretty significant impacts on the leaderboard. Which is another reason why anyone going to French Throwdown or TFX needs to still be going to French Throwdown and TFX. None of this is locked. They don't have tickets. They're not like Roman Krennikov, they're not like Colton, they're not like Austin Hatfield, Fee, Lucy. Those people have tickets. These people may have tickets. May. In fifth, we have Tudor Magda, who had a very, very consistent weekend. He had 3 12th place finishes. I mean, how much more consistent can you get than that? That's actually impressive. And he's very good at online competition, so I probably should have had him in my top 11. I did not, but proved me wrong, and we'll see Tudor Magda back at the CrossFit Games. In sixth is someone that I had in about this position in my preview, and that is Jason Hopper. Jason did the workouts with Dallin, and they kind of celebrated a little bit already. But again, these do have to be reviewed, but I do think it was a really good move for Jason to go do these with Dallin. I think that's what he needs. I've mentioned that before. I've mentioned that many times going over the Mayhem Classic, previewing this. So I think Jason knows that he needs someone next to him to help him get that extra push. I think a lot of us do, by the way. It's not just Jason. I think that's sort of part of the magic of CrossFit. That's the way CrossFit was meant to be done, with other people, against other people. That's why even when it was back on the CrossFit.com days of people just doing workouts, reading the workout of the day and then doing them, and then posting a comment to let other people know how they did and to compare their scores to others. I think that's a pretty integral part of CrossFit, and it makes all the sense in the world that Jason needs someone to chase, but he needs it more than some of the other Games athletes, in my opinion, from the outside looking in. In seventh, we have Ricky Garrard, who also traveled to Proven headquarters to do those workouts and looked aggressive.
Come on!
There was an issue that they did also talk about on the Savan podcast where you went to his workouts and clicked on them and they didn't appear to load on the game site, but they do load on YouTube. I don't know what that means or if that's just like an error. I don't know how that could impact him, but if they work fine on YouTube and they're just not loading right on the CrossFit Games site, I don't know how you could penalize him because I don't know if that's his fault or if someone deserves a penalization for that if the workouts are readily viewable on his YouTube. I don't know. I don't think it'll be an issue. Let's hope not. But Ricky Garrard currently in a 7th place position. After him, another CrossFit Games winner. We're gonna have a lot of previous CrossFit Games winners on the men's side, and that is Justin Medeiros. He had 1 first place finish in workout 2, and then he did have an outlier finish in workout 3, which was Heavy Isabel. So that's just one of those workouts though, if that's not your jam, if that's not like one of the things that you're the best at, you can easily fall behind and seconds make a huge difference. In ninth, Enrico Zanoni, not someone many people were talking about, but somebody who has a lot of competition history, so someone we shouldn't be too shocked about. And him, similar to Justin, his worst finish was workout 3, but also workout 5. And in 10th, we have Colin Bossard or Bouchard. I am not 100% certain. I would like him to say it for me or at a competition. I don't know when that would happen now that he's qualified online, but Colin has finished in 10th. I didn't think he was gonna be able to do it. I thought about putting him in my top 11, but after competing last weekend at Wadland, I thought he might just be a little bit tapped out. Apparently not. He finished in 10th, just sneaking in there, but not quite as sneakily as Harry Lightfoot, who got the final position in 11th. But who is right behind Harry? The person that I said we should all keep an eye on to possibly be like about 12th, and that is Jona Koski. He is currently sitting about 7 points behind Harry Lightfoot, and that could be a good position. Like I said, things have to be reviewed. Some of these people might be going to other competitions, TFX, French. If they do, Jona is right there. Jona is probably a little bit frustrated right now being one spot out, because he was one spot out at Wadland, now he's one spot out here, and now he has to travel to Indianapolis to do WFP, where he'll probably get 4th. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know. He's probably really exhausted after all these competitions. Actually, 4th would probably be pretty good. But Jona is in a decent position to possibly still get one of the 11 spots for the CrossFit Games. I wouldn't count him out yet. I hope he doesn't count himself out yet, because things could move. In 12th, also tied for 12th, we have Chris Ibarra. Jack Rosema was at 15th. Samuel Cornwallet, 15th. I don't think he'll do anything else because he's kind of retired. But some of these other people might do the last chance and might do some other competitions if they can get in them or if they're already in them. Nick Matthew in 18th, Bill Leahy in 19th. So, BKG in 22nd. So we do have some names farther down the leaderboard. Spencer Panchek in 24th. We'll have to see how everything shakes out and who qualifies where. Let's move over to the women's side of things. In first, we have Ariel Lowen, and this shouldn't be too much of a surprise. I believe she qualified for the CrossFit Games before during the last chance qualifier. She's really good at CrossFit. I know it's crazy to say, but she just has been so consistent. She's been someone who threatens for podiums all the time. I just think I wasn't quite as all in on her because I wasn't sure how all in she was on the CrossFit Games season this year, but it appears she did this competition that she's in, that she's trying to go back to the CrossFit Games, and if she doesn't get her ticket through this, that would be crazy. She'd have to take a massive hit. But if she wasn't to get her ticket through this, she, I believe, is going to TFX, so she's got another opportunity to do that. And if she does get a ticket at TFX, that impacts this leaderboard, but that's just something I'm saying. We can't really know how that's going to look quite yet. In second, we have a name that I feel like we're not as familiar with, and that is Syria Meha, and she looks like she's out of Algeria. And if you don't know a lot about her, which I don't know a whole ton about her, but she has been at semifinals in Europe before, and Be Friendly Fitness did an interview with her a few weeks ago. I actually saw that. I'll pop up a really short portion of it right here.
Syria Meha, she's from Albania, but I actually didn't even know this until today. You live in the UK.
Yes. I've been here for 12 years now, and I was actually born in Italy. So I was born in Italy, raised in Italy, and now I live in the UK, but I'm Albanian in my blood.
But you can go over to the Be Friendly website and check that out. That is on their Copa Sur semifinal preview and news video. I'll try to link that up on the screen so you can see it. But go check that out if you're curious about her and her season and her background a little bit, how much she's been competing. This is a big improvement from her, but it does sound like she's been competing a lot and working on improving. So maybe she's someone we should have all been looking at a little bit harder. We'll see. We'll see how she does at the games if she gets her ticket from this. In third, we have the person I picked to win it, and that is Alexis Raptis. She did come in second in workout 2. In third, we have Alexis Raptis, who had a bunch of good finishes. She had one outlier in that workout 4, but that could actually change because, like I've said throughout this video, that's a workout that has had some errors on it, not purposefully, but I think accidentally. So I think CrossFit should take a better look at that one and could impact Alexis' standings a little bit because she's only in third by 3 points. So we'll see what happens there. In fourth, we have Olivia Kerstetter, who looked like a monster on some of these workouts.
Success is the best revenge. So this is the one.
She had 2 first place finishes in workout 2 and workout 3. Workout 3 being Heavy Isabel, which I think we all could have guessed she would do really well on, and she smashed it. She's got a first, a 4th in workout 5, and then workout 1 and workout 4, she had 23rd and 30th, so not quite as dominant in those, but really Olivia Kerstetter is looking like she is making her comeback. In 5th, we have a rookie on the women's side, and that is Annika Greer. I had predicted her to make the games with these workouts. I think it's really awesome that she's in this list of potential qualifiers. She has been right outside a couple of times, and it's good to see her break through and hopefully get her games ticket. And she had a first place in that first workout, which was the one with the handstand walking, back squats, and muscle ups, which honestly makes a lot of sense with her gymnastics background and her super strength. In 6th, Caroline Stanley is going back to the games. I feel like she is someone that we often sleep on. She did well at Mayhem as well. So Caroline Stanley is someone that I think we should probably all give a little bit more credit than we do as someone who could potentially be a top 10 games athlete. In 7th, we have Brooke Wells. I predicted she would punch her ticket back to the games. I think this looks really good for her. I was also surprised to see just how much better Brooke did than her sister, Sydney Wells. Sydney finished in 43rd. Brooke is definitely just more dominant here still. I feel like the one year that Sydney made the games and Brooke did not, there were some questions whether that was still true, but Brooke's looking good again. In 8th, we have Madeline Sturt. I had also picked her to make the games out of here. She didn't seem like she was the happiest with her workout 3 finish, the Heavy Isabel, in one of Proven's videos.
Right.
One down.
One down. Yeah, one down, we'll see. I feel like I'm open to doing that one again, just because you might be able to, knock some seconds off. We'll see.
I'm not sure if she actually did redo it, but that is her worst finish, but she had very strong finishes on workout 1 and on workout 5. So I feel like Maddie Sturt has been not up and coming because she went to the games back in 2016, 17, 18, maybe 19, then just sort of wasn't doing well enough to qualify out of a competitive Australia region. And now she's been working with Proven and she looks great. And she's someone I would keep my eyes on at the games. Right below her in 9th, and there is a tie for 9th in points, but I believe tiebreakers have been done and that's why you have certain names above other names. In 9th, we have Danielle Brandon. Danielle Brandon I thought would do a little bit better in this online format, but all you gotta do is qualify, right? So she is currently in 9th. She has an 8th place finish on workout 3, which is Heavy Isabel. And she's not known to be the strongest of athletes, but had a really good finish on that workout. I'll be interested to see how Danielle does at the games, if she does punch her ticket, or at Syndicate if for some reason she doesn't. But I would imagine somebody as seasoned as Danielle Brandon that her videos would look pretty good, but we'll see. Syndicate is after this closes though, so she may not have to go. And also tied for 9th is someone else I predicted would make it, and that is Haley Adams. Very happy to see her here. I think she is still working her way back to her fittest self, which I think most of the games athletes are, but I do think Haley spent some time taking away some work on her strengths, things like all of the endurance stuff, and focusing more on her lifting, because that's somewhere that has been a massive hole for her. And we saw that she was still sort of getting back into CrossFit shape at the Mayhem Classic, and it seems like she's definitely getting there, and I expect her to be an even fitter Haley Adams at the games as she continues to ramp up those things that used to be her strengths and makes them back to her strengths. And her best finish was workout 5, but her second best finish was workout 3, the heavy Isabel. She finished in 4:28, so I think that does say a lot about the work that she's been doing and that it's paying off. Since we had a tie for 9th, we don't have a 10th, we just go right to 11th, and that is Amy Kringle, who had a bunch of really solid finishes, and then just the heavy Isabel was her outliers being her worst, and kind of put her in this position where she's right on the bubble and tied for points with Grace Walton, but Amy Kringle has a better finish than Grace Walton, so I believe that's the reason that she's above her. Grace Walton was someone I thought could qualify in this format, and there's still a chance they're shifting. I think the majority of the women we're reading on this list are women that we all think could be at the games. But there is a chance that someone in those top 11 doesn't end up making it through this. And like I said, one reason could be TFX, right? Ariel goes to TFX and gets her ticket, then Grace Walton would get a spot. So there's a lot of shifting that could happen and penalties that could happen. But all these names are names that I feel like are realistic to be in this position. It's not like we have someone who's like, who in the world is that? The closest would be our second place finisher, Syria Meha. But I do think there is, if you look at her and you look at some of her performances in the past, there is an argument to be made that she could belong here. Maybe she should belong here. Going down the list a little bit further, we have Kira Milligan in that 13th position. Miriam Von Rohr, our open winner for 2 years in a row, is in 14th. Lucy McGonigal, who's a former teen athlete, in 15th. Sydney Mikulishin, who's made the game a couple times, in 17th. Andrea Solberg, who I said, maybe shouldn't have done Waterland and pulled out, is in 20th. Erica Folo finished in 24th. Caroline Prevost in 28th. Sarah Sigmund's daughter in 32nd, but I still think she has a good chance out of that Africa region. So we definitely have some legitimate names that are lower down. Rebecca Fuselier in 36th. And Paige Semenza in 48th. I'm not sure where she'll go for her ticket. It's still going to be a crazy year because there are less tickets available than ever before. Only 30 people going to the CrossFit Games, down from 40 in previous years. So there's going to be a lot to watch. This semifinal, the unaffiliate one, is where we're going to qualify most people. So we really got to keep an eye on how this leaderboard changes and who ends up actually being on top and getting their tickets from this semifinal versus some of the other ones that are coming up. So a lot of questions there. Do I like the unaffiliate semifinal? Yeah, I think I do. I don't think we should necessarily be qualifying this many people out of it, 11. I think ideally it would be better to have more in-person competitions and maybe qualify 5 out of this in-affiliate semifinal. But I do think it's a good option for athletes that can't afford to go to the semifinals, that are up-and-coming athletes that just get sick or something and can't compete at a semifinal. I do think it's a good option to have and that we should have it for some of the positions. I just don't think we should be qualifying more than a third of the field online. It's less to watch, less to see. It's more to double check through videos. So we'll see how next year looks, because every year things have been changing, and I do think that we're going to continue to see some evolution next year. But some things may be here to stay. The separate events that aren't run by CrossFit, I think that could very well be here to stay. The idea of an in-affiliate semifinal, I think that could be here to stay too. And 30 people going to the CrossFit Games, also think that's another thing that could be here to stay. But the way we get there, I think might have some evolutions to it. And before I wrap this up, we have to talk about one of the greatest to ever do it, who did not do the semifinal, and that is Tia-Clair Toomey. At the end of one of Proven's videos, they asked her about why she didn't do the in-affiliate semifinal, and she explained it was because she's doing Torian, but she also said some other stuff.
If I did do semifinals and I qualified my spot for the games, then, you know, I'd make things a lot easier, but I had already committed to doing Torian, and, you know, that was just something that I was like, well, there's no point on me doing semifinals and doing Torian as well.
She talked about qualifying for her spot for the games. To me, that sounds like she wants to go to the games. I did a whole video, and I'll link that somewhere up here, talking about how she never said she was retiring, guys. Everyone's like, she's retired. She's not competing at the games. Never said that. Never said that. And then said this. And I saw some people like getting a little bit upset in the comments of that video that they thought she was retiring and now they're not sure. You should have never been sure. There was never anything that was definitively said. No one should be sure. I think Tia is going to the CrossFit Games this year if she qualifies at Torian. I think she's doing high rocks too, but I think she's trying to qualify for the games and do both this year. And I think she kind of said it. And she never said she's retiring. I'm sorry I have to keep saying that, but like people think they heard it. And they didn't. Anyway, I appreciate you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you're not subscribed again, make sure you do that. Like this video, leave a comment on what you thought of in-affiliate semifinals, and if you think there's anything egregious going on or, you know, anything we need to look at, let me know. More videos to come. We've got WFP also coming up this weekend. We got French Throwdown this weekend and WFP. So lots of things to preview and a puppy to say goodbye before we go. Bye. See you, bye. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye.